the Hulk Hogan sex tape really fucked up my life. It really did. And a lot of people don't know the truth to that. If you were to go ask, let's say that you two guys are walking down the International Mall and you walk up to anybody in Tampa, Florida, or maybe the world for that most part, and you're like, hey, what do you know about the Hogan sex tape? And they're going to say, oh, his best friend, Bubba the Love Sponge, taped Hogan fucking his wife, and then Bubba tried to sell it and do him dirty. There's truth to that. I did let him fuck my wife. And my home surveillance system captivated it, as it captivates everything. That's my only dabbling in the whole thing. The sequence of events that happened thereafter will absolutely blow people's fucking minds when they find out how this all went down. Now, I'm not trying to say, oh, listen, I'm innocent. No, I let my best friend fuck my hot wife. I did. My best friend was in a...
Which that's not... I mean, if everyone's willing, and there's nothing wrong with that.
There was 3 willing participants, right. And really, at the end of the day, had an employee of mine not steal my surveillance. Only 3 people to this day would still know about that event. And my life wouldn't have been ruined. My ex-wife wouldn't be considered a whore. And Hogan wouldn't have $141 million in his pocket. So, I mean, joke's on me, motherfucker.
Do you think he really got all that money?
No, he didn't. He got, in my opinion, between now, don't forget there were 2 lawsuits. There was Hogan versus Gawker, and then the lawsuit that nobody knows about, Hogan versus Cox.
Oh, okay.
All of this was aggregated through Cox Media. That lawsuit settled. That's the story I'm going to tell. Oh. I'm going to tell that story. Everybody knows Hogan versus Gawker and how that worked out. But if you were to go and ask that, people say, well, people don't realize is that my best friend, Hulk Hogan, lived with me at his lowest point of his life in 2007. He was suicidal. I had to take a gun away from him at one time. He was going to kill himself. And we were coming home from the dollhouse one night. My wife and I had a semi-open relation. I mean, we were. I wouldn't say we were necessarily in the lifestyle, but I'm not a jealous guy. I've seen through all of my years on being on radio and the squirt Olympics and the girls pissing in fucking coffee cans and shooting ping pong balls out their pussies and just all the stuff that I've seen, I've become calloused. So my best friend fucking my wife is not that big a deal to me. Mm-hmm. And so...
You guys were married? You guys were together?
Yeah, we were married. And so we're driving home from the dollhouse and my wife calls me and Hogan's down. He's going through the worst fucking divorce ever. And I just told her, I said, hey, Heather, have a little sexy outfit on and take care of my boy when we get home. And it was pretty much that. It was pretty much that simple. The chain of custody of the tape is a story in itself. Heather and I were going through a very nasty divorce, and I didn't want that DVD at my house at that time, so I took it and put it in my office. And an employee stole it, and the rest is history. That employee disseminated it. The employee used it to try to extort Hogan for $1 million. There was an FBI. Did you know that there was an FBI sting?
I had no fucking clue.
No. Nobody knows this. Nobody knows that this tape was shopped all around Hollywood. And everybody in Hollywood asked the Spice Boy, Matt Lloyd, Spice Boy, my co-host, was shopping this to Digital Underground and to Wicked Productions and all this, and says, and because the sex tape world with the Ray J and Kim Kardashian and Paris Hilton and Tommy Lee, those were worth millions of dollars because the people in the tapes agreed, for the
right
at the end of the day,
right.
Pam and Tommy want to act like they didn't. They made a lot of money on that deal.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Heather, myself, or Hogan.
Well, sex tape hasn't made money.
Yeah, right. I'm the guy. I'm the person that's been on the worst side of sex tape. I am the guy who got butt fucked by sex tapes. So, as Spice Boy was shopping this tape, I didn't even know that it was gone. Like for instance, see that toolbox over there?
Yeah.
Okay, you might have 3 half-inch wrenches in there. Do you really know that there's 3 in there? Last time you checked, there was 3. But do you go back every day and check that there's 3 half-inch wrenches?
Right.
No. I knew this sex tape was in my office in the desk. I didn't go every day and relook. Oh, it's still there. I just knew. I never had an employee theft problem. I didn't, I had nothing. I had a pretty small staff and nobody went at my office, and I'd never have a theft problem. People had keys to the building. They could come and work on the weekends and things like that. Well, one of my employees stole it. I didn't know it was stolen until one of my producers, Brent Hatley, calls me March 4th, 2011, and flat out asks me, did Hogan fuck your wife? And I'm like, I'm driving into work. It's 4:40 in the morning. I'm on the Howard Franklin. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, on the dirty.com, there's a screenshot of your bedroom with Hogan, on top of Heather. And I'm like, oh my God. Brent, run into my office right now and look at my top desk, top drawer, under some papers. There should be a DVD that says Hogan on it. And he walked in there and he said, it's not there. And I knew my life was ruined. So Spice Boy was taking this tape, and when he was going to when he was going to all these places that could potentially buy a sex tape, the first thing they asked was, well, do you have 2257 forms on the people involved? And a 2257 form is just a standardized form that says, I am this person giving you permission to use my likeness and distribute it, and we own the right, all that kind of bullshit. Spice Boy starts shopping this tape. He can't find anybody in Hollywood or anybody in the porn industry that'll touch it. They're like, listen, we cannot put this up if you don't have, at least Heather and Hogan on 2257s.
Right.
It's illegal. Well, at that point, the tape was worth nothing. So Danny, this will blow your fucking mind. And this is what people in the mall and don't know, is that he then got a hold of his wife's best friend, named Lori Burbage, who worked at the Bank of America. She was just making like 20, like a single mom, and gave her $1,000 to be the liaison. And he called up a guy named Keith Davidson, who was the #1 sex tape broker in Hollywood.
I've heard of him.
And he flew to Tampa and brokered this. And he had David Houston, who's Hogan's lawyer, who's now dead. And Hogan.
Is that the guy who looks like a burn victim?
Yeah, it looks like Fire Marshal Bill.
Oh my God.
Let me tell you something. I got so much heat when I used to say that. Yeah, he died in Reno.
Oh, fuck.
And so him and Hogan, Keith Davidson got a hold of him and Hogan and said, we have this sex tape. I have this sex tape. Well, first of all, the dirty.com put the screenshot of it up in March and kind of alerted the world that it was out there. So everybody's scrambling around. Where the fuck is it? Nobody knows. They can't produce it. The dirty.com has to pull it down immediately. But Spice Boy fucked up by I think he got like $4,500 to send them that picture. So as he's shopping it, he can't sell it. He then arranges a meeting for Keith Davidson to represent him, and Hogan, David Houston, and Lori Burbage, who represents the owner of the tape. Because if Spice Boy would have walked in there, Hogan would have said, fuck, because he knew Spice Boy worked for me.
Right.
Spice Boy wanted to completely stay out of it.
Right.
So Lori Burbage goes in representing the owner of the tape. Keith Davidson's in there to broker it. But what they don't know is that Hogan and David Houston called the FBI and said, we're being extorted. They want $1 million for this sex tape for Hogan to buy back so that it doesn't get out. That's what bad guys do. Is if I got something here and you don't want this, you don't want your wife to see this, well, then buy it off of me, bitch.
Right.
Otherwise, she's going to get it.
Now, that was true? Somebody did try to extort him for $1 million?
True. It was an FBI sting that's been fully documented.
Really? They have it like recorded him actually saying that?
Yes.
Wow.
I'll have that footage on my documentary. Wow. So they're in there, and Hogan writes a dummy check for $150,000 to buy back this tape. The feds knock the door down, fucking put Lori Burbage and Keith Davidson in handcuffs. Oh, this gets fucked up, Dan. You're going to fucking freak out over this deal.